Good morning, my beauty bunch. It is just Jennifer Beauty. Now, this podcast is a completely unplanned episode. I've just got out the shower and I've just sat on the bed and thought, I just need to get this out because I want to remind you, I posted on my reels today, my recovery journey, and some of you who know me will know about my history and my story, and some of you won't, but in that story there is a great lesson about mindset, so bear with me and I hope you find this useful. Okay, so when I was 25 I was diagnosed with a brain condition and I had to have 3 brain surgeries over 3 years, and that in itself was very difficult. At one point we didn't think I'd make it, but as a result of complications, a couple of years later, I had a full body crash and I went into hospital with no feeling from the chest down. And the doctors were saying there's nothing that they can really do. So I left in a wheelchair and I had care coming in every day. I had physios, I had caregivers, I had lots and lots of different holistic treatments as well. And we decided to go for a second opinion because I tell you what, buying a wheelchair was quite an emotional time, actually. And I'll try and do this podcast without crying. It always makes me cry. It was quite an emotional time. We were quite newly married and I love to ski, I love to water ski, I'm a sailor, and just all of that realisation, things like I played the saxophone and, you know, all of my things that I loved, even my job, my career, I worked in the city in property sales, and I wasn't able to do any of that anymore. And I remember going to the wheelchair shop in Croydon and looking at all of the wheelchairs and just thinking, is this really my reality? My husband said, do you want to get a motorised wheelchair? And I said, no, I don't. He said, why? It would be so much easier. And I said, that's the exact reason why I don't want to get one. If I get a motorised wheelchair, trying not to cry, guys, sorry. If I get a motorised wheelchair, I won't try and get out of that wheelchair. I need to make it really difficult and really hard every time I want to go to the shop, every time I want to go out. If I'm pushing myself up that hill and it is a struggle, I am going to want to get out of that wheelchair so much more. So we did test out the electronic wheelchairs and we had a race in the car park and found that very funny. And then I bought a manual wheelchair. And I worked so hard at my recovery at trying to learn how to walk without the feeling, because they were saying that I wasn't ever going to get the feeling back. We decided to go private and pay for a second opinion. So I wheeled in to the doctor, to the neurospecialist, and he'd looked at all of my scans. And he assisted me out of the wheelchair and got me to do a few things and sat me back down and said, his words, this is it. This is your best. You will not get any better from here. Now imagine hearing that. Imagine hearing someone say, you're not going to get any better. This is your reality. Someone putting that on you. How many people have partners or friends who actually say that to them? How many people say that to themselves? So I ignored that and I said, stuff that second opinion, I will get better. So I dug deep. I practiced my exercises every single day. I worked really hard. I sweated my arse off every day to just try to get my memory back on how to walk when you don't have any feeling. Imagine if you can't feel that your foot is on the ground. How do you walk? They used to laugh at me and call me a dinosaur when I was practicing at home, because the only way I could walk straight is looking down at my feet and having my arms up by my head like a T-Rex. So I was called T-Rex for a while, lovingly. But I did a lot of research. I did a lot of sort of motivational videos. I hired a PT who came and helped me, who specialised in disability. I sacked my doctors. They couldn't help me. All they were doing is putting me down and telling me I wasn't going to get any better and there was no point. So I sacked them and I went on my own. 6 months later, the people who were helping me with my recovery said, you know, you're working so hard. And anyone who knows me, this will be true to form. On day one of meeting them, I had drawn out a massive plan on a big sheet of paper and split it up into weeks and put, I'm starting here and this is what I want to achieve on this week and this week and this week. So I was very structured and I was very goal and target driven. But that kept me on track and that kept me motivated when the days felt hard. That kept me going. I would look at that and be like, right, this is my path of how I am going to get better. So I think it was like 3 months in, they were saying to me, look, you're exhausted, you're plateauing, you're not making any more progress because you are exhausted, you're burnt out. Go on holiday, take a break. So we booked Barbados and that was a sobering experience being lifted up on the platform onto the plane because I had to take my wheelchair with me. And when we got to Barbados, it was a couple of days in, total relaxation. I swung my legs over the bed and put my feet on the floor and there was a tiny pinprick on my toe that I could feel. My husband was already down at the pool and there's a video that he took of me because I walked all the way down the pool on my own and he just couldn't believe it. And that one tiny pinpoint on my toe was all I needed. I just needed that one boost, that one thing to tell me this is possible. And I've never used the wheelchair again. And don't get me wrong, feeling comes and goes. Like, for example, now I'm sat here, I can't feel my left foot, but I've learned how to walk without the feeling. And that doesn't get me down because I know that it will come and go. And a bit like in business, we have seasons. Sales come and go. Team members come and go. Sometimes you'll get a flurry of success and sometimes it will be really quiet and a struggle, but you keep going. See, if I'd have just listened to the doctors and settled into my electric wheelchair and moved house to an electric wheelchair-friendly home, do you think I would be up walking and going to the gym and doing all of the things that I do now? Do you think I'd be in this industry? No, because I will have accepted my reality and wasted away at a level that I didn't need to be at. Don't let anyone, even yourself, tell you what is possible for you. See, mindset is everything. But behind the mindset, you need the drive, you need the ambition, and you need the dedication. You need to sacrifice. You need to dig deep when times get tough. So if you're looking at being 10 days before the month end and your sales aren't where you want them to be, instead of beating yourself up and telling yourself that you're failing, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to book in a 30-minute power hour where you contact old customers or new customers? Are you going to try and get more exposure? What are you going to do to close that gap? And some months you're not going to make it. Some months you're not going to close that gap, and that's okay too. But imagine where your stats would be if you hadn't even tried. See, people can be so imprisoned by their own brain's thoughts, right? You can say, oh, I couldn't possibly do that, or I'm not good enough to do that, or I'm not confident enough to do that. Those things that are holding you back, they are self-made. If you don't know how Instagram works, go onto YouTube and Google what it is you don't understand. You'll find tutorials everywhere. If you're not very productive, go and listen to productivity audiobooks. Go and set yourself a daily planner. If you find yourself coasting, push yourself. Are you in the right environment? Environment is everything. There's a saying that if you're the richest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So don't just settle where you are. Push yourself, go into that next room. It's better to be someone striving for something than someone thinking that they're the best in their category and sitting back. Because the people who are striving will overtake at some point. It may take time, but those people who are always pushing, always learning, always striving, and not beating themselves up when they don't meet their own expectations, because they are just your own expectations. You've got to keep going. So do me a favour, make a list today of what improvements you want to make in your business, and also make a list of where you want to be in 12 months' time. Write it out, send it to your upline. And then for all of those improvements that you want to make, start brainstorming. How can you do that for yourself? Is it by Googling? Is it by having a mentor? Is it by signing up to a course? Is it by doing YouTube tutorials? What is it? Make that change, because it all starts and ends with you. If If you found this episode useful, please do me a massive favour and hit the subscribe button. And why not go and find me on Instagram at JustJenniferBeauty. Have a great day.